What happens when a white boy runs alone on the streets of Nigeria?
I welcome you to this exciting time. I'm so glad you're watching, and right now we are looking at white people in Africa. And yeah, from what you see, how do you see? They feel so much at home when they're in Africa. And yeah, I don't want to say it because I'm an African, but I'll let you listen to those who aren't African and you have experienced the African warmness.
Offered me
A baby.
what, from your daughter, from a
No, not my daughter.
family friend?
Yeah, a family friend.
To marry me.
Yeah.
I got offered a wife.
How many cows?
I got stopped by kids who were seeing an alien.
The little kids see me. Hey! Yeah, I love you. Hi. High five.
From the outfit, you can tell that this guy is literally feeling at home, and he's just feeling so comfortable, and you can see the love all around him. And this is Ghana, and he's actually speaking Twi. He's spitting it. Let me say spitting because he's so fluent in Twi, and it's a dialect in Ghana. I'm also a foreigner, but I would say for you to be able to even be interested in learning a dialect of a country, it has to be out of a deep love for those people. So yeah, so learning a dialect is not something, it's not something to just take as, yeah, this is not him speaking pidgin English or just other type of English that you can name, but dialect in Ghana. This is, let me let you listen to a few of the things that he's saying. Don't want to get the message. Yeah, right, of course.
What? One one I got you come on. One one I got you come on.
Oh, no, asante for those power. Okay. Oh, I bring what asante. House any what asante. Ukraine what asante. Sante na gabia mega asante kasa. Oh. Hey, na uso. Obrigado cosa na.
Welcome to come to Africa and also have your own experience depending on the place where you want to go. But right now I want to play a clip of somebody who has been in Africa in like 5 different African countries, and this is what he has to say. This has been his experience. I felt like he spoke for a long time, but everything seems to like make a lot of sense in what he was trying to explain. So enjoy the video as you listen to his experience in Africa. 5 countries to be specific.
I've lived in 5 different countries in Africa. I've lived in Malawi, Botswana, Zambia, Morocco, and Nigeria. I've also traveled extensively in South Africa, Zimbabwe, Namibia, and Egypt. Never once in all my years of living or traveling on the African continent have I been mistreated in any way because of my ethnicity, because of my skin color. And this is in spite of the fact that I come from a country who are guilty for some of the worst colonial crimes ever inflicted throughout human history. That's right, I was born in Great Britain. And without doubt, the British and the French committed the greatest atrocities across the continent of Africa. The Belgians have a good claim for the greatest atrocity in their treatment of the Congolese, but if one looks at it as an entity and the number of countries that were invaded by the British and French colonialists, one will see that they are the worst protagonists. Despite this, and despite the behavior of my ancestors, I have never been mistreated. In fact, I have been welcomed warmly in all of the countries I have lived in or visited. And when in Africa, I don't cocoon myself in some enclave dome which is inhabited by people who like to refer to themselves as expats. I hate that term. But no, I integrate as much as possible within local society. I will go to a shebeen. I will go to any compound and experience life as it is for people in the country where I am based. So whether that's in the village, whether it's in the township, whether it's in the local bar, I will integrate, I will mix, and I am always made welcome. Now contrast that with the way many Africans are treated when they choose to live in the United Kingdom or France or other parts of Europe. The difference is incredible. The everyday racism experienced by African people on the European continent is a crime against humanity. Now, there are different types of racism. The most obvious is the day-to-day experience that an African will have whilst living in parts of Europe. The name calling, the staring, the subtle discrimination. And for many Africans, they will just brush it off because it is so common that they just get used to it, sadly. Worse, though, is the institutional and structural racism that Africans have to abide with. The restrictions on their movements, the fact that most passports emulating from the African continent will only allow Africans to travel visa-free to a handful of countries. And most of those will be other African countries or countries in the Caribbean. And moreover, the difficulty that Africans have finding work in Europe is unimaginable. People who are qualified as doctors, accountants, lawyers, university lecturers, nurses, teachers do not have their qualifications and experiences recognized by most European countries. I know many people from Africa working in various parts of Europe as security guards or as care assistants when back home they had highly skilled professional jobs. But that experience is rarely recognized when they come to Europe unless they come as part of a transfer with an existing company. But if they come because they've migrated to Europe, their chances of accessing the sort of job which they are eminently capable of is slim. Now, if a black person was making this video, they would be quickly dismissed. They'd be dismissed as having an axe to grind or always trying to find problems. And again, that's part of racism. The fact that I can speak because of my white privilege means that I have a duty to do so, not because I'm married to an African woman or because I have many African friends, but because I like to think I'm a decent human being who appreciates the value in every person on our planet.
This girl is a Brazilian living in Kenya for like 2 years, and she's trying to say of her culture shock. And something I noted is how Kenyan keep their shoes clean. It's something that I've also observed from white people. They don't like cleaning shoes anyway. And she mentioned it here.
Hi, my name is Roberta. I'm Brazilian and I've been living in Nairobi for the last 2 years. And let me tell you about some things I've learned and habits I got since I moved to Kenya. The first one is drinking tea. I've never had this habit of drinking tea in Brazil. And now I have lots of different flavors and kinds of teas in my pantry. I'm still not a big fan of chai with milk, but maybe one day I'll like it. Number 2, keep your shoes clean. Oh, but I'm Kenyan and I don't keep my shoes clean. Maybe you don't, but the majority of the people here in Nairobi, they do. The soil here is really red, but most of people's shoes are always going to be clean. And I was very ashamed to realize that mine were not. So now I have this habit of always washing my shoes and keeping them clean, which make them look way better. Third, always have a bag with you. Otherwise, you will have to buy a new one. It's not that cheap, and in the end of the day, you're going to have tens in your house, like I do. But now I've learned, and I always keep a bag inside of my purse. Tell me in the comments, what else should I learn?
For an African to visit a European nation, an ordinary African, to visit a European nation, is like, let me give you an example my teacher used to use. It's like trying to milk an elephant because of the visa process. However, for a European to visit an African nation, most of our nations, it is like a walk on the beach. It's like going to have a cup of tea. But then that is not the problem. The tragedy is that now for an African to visit a fellow African within the African Union, the visa restrictions in many of our nations, among us, between our brothers and sisters, is like trying to brush the teeth of a crocodile.
Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comment section. Also subscribe. Bye.